Yay. Cool.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And we are back again. Let me see. Let me just get everything to where I want it to go. Okay, good. All right. We're good. We're back. Hi. Hello, everyone. We are back and welcome back to all of you.
Welcome. We are so excited to be here because we have a really good topic today. Something that's been circulating the news and TikTok trends. And we know that you'll all have strong opinions on it because we do.
Do you feel like TikTok now is the trendsetter for all things dating?
I think it's the trendsetter for a lot. I actually went to this event last night at Manny's where we did an event,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it was about food influencers in restaurants. And it
Ah.
was basically like the debate of there was this whole drama in San
Yes.
Francisco that
Yes.
went viral about a mini influencer that basically was treated poorly by a restaurant, and then the influence took him down basically because of the way
Mhm.
he was treated. So there was this whole panel just about the two sides, and the journalist was from the SF Standard, which is newspaper traditionally, now obviously website. And she asked the audience if they thought journalism or TikTok was more influential. And I raised my hand on TikTok because I think so.
'Cause people don't really trust journalism, they don't
No.
trust the news, yet they trust TikTok?
They trust a total rando that has no
Some
qualifications on anything.
it's like someone half their age to be like,
Yeah.
"Yes, you should be drinking more, I don't know, Gatorade because it's better for your longevity." I don't know, it's strange to me that these influencers have so much power now, and that
Yeah.
influencer story, I think, is very controversial in my eyes because she asked for a free meal, and he was like, "No, you're not big enough for me to give you a free meal." But I feel like that's a little entitled, right? To be like, "I'm an influencer, so give me something for free?"
I think though that she had coordinated with his team and
Oh,
was
okay.
there. So it wasn't like she just popped in and was like, "Give me a
Okay.
free meal." I think they got in touch with her and was setting up a whole collaboration. I
Mm,
mean, I think though his reaction to it was pretty bad to be like, "Oh, you only have 30,000 followers, you're a nobody." That's pretty
that's
brutal. I don't know,
terrible.
it's like a sad state of the world if we're judging people based off their follower count, in my opinion.
It is because you also back in the day, you're treating everyone well because you don't want them to leave a bad Yelp review, and you
Right.
don't know how many people they have following their Yelp account, like, could be nobody.
I know, and we did a cross promotion, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but we were on their podcast, they were on our podcast with
Mhm.
Jared and Jordana from the You Up podcast. And we actually had a bit where we were talking about TikTok and the influence on dating and how, clickbait tends to be more negative or more extreme. And that's the stuff that goes viral, and how this was contributing just the overall kind of anger and disgust in the dating world right now. So I personally have a lot of opinions on date talk or whatever the dating section of TikTok is, and how maybe it's influenced things for the worse. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive into this date them till you hate them mentality that we're going to talk about.
Yes, and if you don't know what that is, quickly Google it because we don't wanna give too much away until we start talking about it. Before that, we wanna address an email we got, and this is all very much related because in this era of short form content,
Hmm?
it is very hard sometimes for us to convey all of our thoughts in like a 30-second or 90-second video, and some of the videos may not have the full picture, so we'll acknowledge that. But we did put up a video a few weeks ago about how monogamy is not dead, and we did receive some feedback through an email from someone who said that non-monogamy doesn't exactly mean casual
Mhm.
relationship. Non-monogamy could have many different forms of committed relationships. So by equating non-monogamy to casual relationships, you're actually um, really looking down on some of these non-monogamous structures. And we totally agree. Thank you so much for that feedback. That was not our intention, especially in a 90-second video. It's really hard to convey all of that. Uh,
I think he might have listened to the entire episode, actually.
oh,
It
okay.
wasn't just a video, so while, yes, agree with you, a 90-second video is very hard to relay, also, I think in longer form content, things can get misconstrued, and as soon as this email came in, I was like, "Okay, I know the lens we were thinking about it." We were
Yes.
thinking about it as, like, monogamous listeners, people that want monogamy, they want, to be in that type of relationship, and they're getting a bunch of people that either want hookups or casualness, or they want non-monogamy. And I think that "or" might have got conflated, and as soon as he said it, I was like, "Okay, own this completely." I see how maybe our intention of that lens might have been lost, and that, like, distinction could have got overlapped.
Yes. We were not clear about the distinction. Non-monogamy does not just mean casual relationships. What we really wanna say is commitment is not dead. There's still people out there looking for commitment in however you want to define commitment in a relationship structure to be, and sometimes that could be a monogamous relationship or in a polyamorous relationship, open relationship. There are many different forms, but there is commitment in all those relationships, and does not mean that in today's world, nobody wants any of that commitment. There are still people who do.
Right. And people are aligned with what you are aligned with. There is a whole, community of people that are poly, non monogamous. And that's amazing. Like, you can all find, like, everyone can find the people that are in line with what they're looking for. And then people that are monogamous don't have to feel like there's no one left that's monogamous.
Yes.
There's also a cohort out there that's monogamous. So, what we were trying to say is don't, like, stay true to what you want ultimately. Like, you don't have to feel like you have to, like, swift to whatever, like, you think everyone else is doing. Like, you'll find your people eventually.
Mhm. Yes, but thank you for highlighting that, and I think if you're one person who thought that, I'm sure there are others
Mhm.
who thought the same thing. So, thank you for giving us the opportunity to clarify that as well, and I find this to be a very interesting period in our lives where I think the word monogamy is probably
Yeah,
shifting meaning as well.
totally.
You probably could have a non-committed monogamous relationship these days.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, now we just have to be extra clear, about what we're
Yes.
trying to define.
That's the takeaway, is that you absolutely 110 can be so committed to your partners in a non-monogamous relationship. We've seen marriages, we've seen people that have lifelong partnerships. So yes, 100% agree with that.
So you can gain
Okay.
clarity, you can talk it out, you can be very communicative like we're trying to be right now, or you can experience this new dating trend, which it's sort of the opposite. So, Julie, what do you think about this whole date them until you hate them trend?
I don't know, is this a brilliant strategy or a complete cop out?
It's a TikTok trend, and the idea is just emotionally disconnect. Get into a relationship and ignore everything that annoys you about this person, all their habits, their red flags. Just let the relationship rot until you absolutely cannot stand it, and then you leave.
So instead of just breaking up, you just drag it out?
Yes, a slow, painful death, and make the breakup feel inevitable,
Oh
but
god.
not tragic. Just let it die slowly.
I feel like that sounds cruel. Like, toxic and cowardly, not clever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of experts say that it's emotional sabotage. It prolongs the pain instead of just dealing with it.
So again, like, why not just talk it out? Like, when there's a challenge, see if it's something you could take on together, or if not, then part ways.
Definitely. Like we always say, communication overrides everything else. Communication is so much better than just avoiding and letting that love turn into resentment.
The only pro I will give this
Is there a pro?
is okay, the only pro I'll give it is that it's easier to move on when you are angry and dislike someone, I think, than when you feel like there's still hope in the relationship. So I'd say that's a pro. And then the only other pro I can think of is like you kind of gave it your all. Like you wrote it out until you realize, like, I really just can't do this with them. I think though maybe where those get conflated is this like rot and not talk to them and just like leave because it's helping you process versus like I gave it a try. Maybe it's the same outcome, but a different mentality. So I think if you're in the mentality of like, I'm going to date them until I either am like, yes, this is my person, or nope, not for me. I think that to me is like a better approach than like, let me just date them until I hate them. So it's easier for me.
Take it from me as someone who got out of a relationship hating their partner because of the shitty things that he did to me. It is not the best way to end a relationship. Yes, it makes them moving forward so much easier,
Yeah.
but it sort of makes you feel like you were living in a dream for that
Mm,
time you were in a relationship. You start thinking, well, was it real? Because how could I hate this person or hate what happened to me right now when I felt like I was so in love or I felt like I was living in this fairy tale? So I don't think that's the best way to end anything. Relationships, jobs, friendships, like
yeah.
you don't want to end up hating the person who you thought about every day, the person that you really respected for so long.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, this trend, the TikTok creator, I guess, that started it, was saying that she left a long term relationship by emotionally withdrawing. So
Mm,
she really focused on all her partner's flaws, and the relationship's decay, like, fueled her resentment until she felt no more attachment to it.
okay.
So, I mean, I guess, like, to me, if it's a long-term relationship and you're, like, letting it, like, go this way, like, why not just cut it earlier? Like, if you're at the point that you're like, "I hate this person, all of their flaws are just too much, and we're not aligned," like, why keep going until you get to that point of, like, utter hate?
I'm gonna get so gross right now. This is just sorry. This is what I'm visualizing right now is you driving a car, you hit some roadkill, and instead of just leaving the roadkill and driving off, you're like slowly rolling over the roadkill and dragging it along, and you're going at a slow speed so that the roadkill slowly dies. To me, it's like, yes, the roadkill eventually dies, but also you are slowing yourself down. This is such a
Right.
drag for you too. You're expending gas and energy and time on just trying to kill this roadkill when you could be on your way to something much happier.
Well, that's a really good point because I guess if the point of this approach is that you basically, like, hit this place of, like, pure disgust or hate, that the breakup feels natural and painless
Yeah.
over, like, a painful loss, but, like, aren't you just prolonging your pain, like, until you get to that
Yes.
point? Like, I feel like either way, you're gonna have pain.
Absolutely.
It
And I
just
think that the hateful pain is worse, isn't it? Hate is still pain.
I also feel like I mean, look, every if you want a real long-term committed relationship, whether you're poly or monogamous, I'll put that out there.
There you go. Right. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. You have to confront conflict. Like, you can't just
Mhm.
run away from it. And this is important whether you're breaking up with someone or you're just resolving conflict in a relationship you want to stay in. So, my take is like, if you know someone isn't right, just have the breakup convo because this is good practice to like have these difficult convos instead of just running away you're just, like, being a coward and not
Yeah.
getting that, like, practice, right, of having the hard convos.
Yeah. Brings us back to the question, what are you getting out of this by dragging this out? You're not growing your communication skills. You're not growing your relational skills. You're certainly not happier because it sounds
Yeah.
like you're building resentment. What are you benefiting from it? We always say address everything before it becomes a resentment. When it becomes resentful, that's almost when it's a little late because it
Mhm.
just means that you've let it build up for so long. But this advice or this trend is so opposite of everything we've ever talked about. It's like, yeah, build that resentment into the biggest mountain you can possibly build it into, and then have it come crashing down on you. You are also at the bottom of that mountain. Like, you are definitely not benefiting from any of this.
This is another reason why TikTok is ruining dating, because it sounds super catchy. Date him till you hate
Yeah.
him, you know,
Yep.
and it's
Mhm.
clickbait, it's virality, it has all of those, measures, but it's not at the root getting to like what relational skills are. It's pushing
No.
people away and keeping us in this like me versus you mentality. Just think about like if someone you were with was staying in this relationship with you for years so it could be easier for them to leave it because they hated you by the end and they were so disgusted by all your quirks and habits. And then they could just be like, "Peace, I'm moving on." And they wasted 2 years of your life knowing there was no future with you. That is one of the cruelest things you could possibly do to another human being.
Yes. And to yourself. I think this is so much torture on yourself. If I had to sit through a relationship where there were even let's just go super trivial, something that really annoyed me about my partner. Maybe it's like the way that they put their shoes in the living room and instead of at the front door. I don't know, just an example. If I had to live with that instead of addressing it, which is so simple, can you
Right.
please put your shoes at the door and not in the living room? If I didn't address it and I just let this fester and every day I come home and just see the shoes and I just see the shoes and I relate it to him and relate it to how much I hate him, how am I supposed to feel good mentally? Like, my
Yeah.
mental health would be degrading.
So the other alternative perspective, because this honestly, when you first sent this over to me, I kind of thought this was like a catchy way to say this alternative contrasting view of like basically keep dating someone until you're completely sure they're not a good fit.
Mm,
And I think there actually is a lot of merit to that.
mhm.
And when I found out it was basically to make it easier for you and just rot away, I was like, wow, this is not what I thought, but good
No.
conversation nonetheless. But I do believe this like date them. Maybe it's not date them till you hate them. That's not the right word, but like date them till you know them, maybe not as
Yeah.
catchy again, but something that like gives you a thorough assessment before ending a potentially good relationship. That could be valuable because I think when you first
Yes.
start dating someone, you either don't give them enough of a chance because we're expecting this instant spark or all the traits we thought we needed, or you see them at their best behavior and then over time they reveal themselves the other way. So
Yep.
I think over time, time is really what we need. We talk about this in our book, How to Be Dateable, the expectation of love on demand, how that's really hurting our the chances of growing healthy, fulfilling partnership. I think having that extra time could actually be in your favor to give people a little more.
Why is it that there's so many relationship tropes out there about how the longer you are with someone, the more annoyed you would be by them? Like, I watched a
Right.
video the other day that was like, marriage is accepting the way your partner breathes for the rest of your life. Like, why are we normalizing that? That apparently everybody who is always around each other is just gonna get more and more annoyed. Of course, there are gonna be little annoyances, but the annoyances don't need to build up. You start to build up tolerance and
Yeah.
understanding and compassion and love. Why are we like I think it's because it's so funny to talk about stuff like that. Like, "Oh yeah, we've been married 50 years and I we can't even be in the same room together because we're so annoyed by each other. Like, that's not cool. Why be in a relationship in the first place?
I do think though, like I mean, I agree. Like, oh, I think you start to like appreciate each other's quirks or let them go and realize like this is who they are. I agree with
Mhm.
you. It doesn't build necessarily over time more and more. That doesn't seem like a healthy partnership. But I do think there is something to the first couple months. You kind of have those rose colored glasses and think
Yes.
this person is like the most amazing person ever a lot of
Yes.
times, and then you start to see the quirks and
Mhm.
annoyances because they're human and everyone does things. Like, I know I do things that annoy my partner. I'm
Mhm.
absolutely aware of what those are. And some of them you can control and some of them you can't, like
Mhm.
snoring, for instance. It's like I can only do so much. And I think some of it, though, it's like you do kind of need to find that person that the good outweighs the annoyances.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, every human is going to annoy you in some way. So you either need to find the stuff that you can deal with or the stuff that, like, yeah, like, they have these so many amazing other traits that being with them makes it like, "Okay, well, wear earplugs at night."
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the silver lining of this trend is that instead of putting your partner on a pedestal, you start seeing them as human
Yeah.
and you don't w- overlook some of the things that like could be a potential red flag or things that could be deal breakers from the beginning because when your rose colored glasses are off that you start thinking how did I choose this person in the first place? So maybe it's even starting with you're meeting a person, a human,
Right.
instead of someone you worship.
I think though the end motivation is different, right? In that, like the date him till you hate him on TikTok, it's like
Mhm.
you're basically trying to hate the person by the end. Like that's
Yes.
the goal.
Yep.
Where the goal of like, can I, get through the annoyances and still build a partnership with them? The goal is like, I want to be with this person. So I
Mhm.
feel like if you're going into any situation being like, I want to figure out the end, like why? Why even do it in the first place? But if you're going with the mindset of like, I want to work through things, I want to build a better relationship and foundation, even if there's some things that annoy the shit out of me or are hard to navigate, that is such a different mentality.
If you want to look for things to be annoyed by, you're gonna find them.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna find them. You're gonna find them in someone you idolize too, like any celebrity. If you spend 24 hours with them, you're gonna find things that annoy you about them. Let's be totally honest here. So why go into that with that we call it like the red flag hunt? Because
Mhm.
if you're gonna hunt for red flags, you're always gonna find them. But just see them as human and take in the information and start to build that understanding. This is the word that I lacked in earlier dating was I didn't seek to understand my partners.
Mhm.
I just went in judging them,
Yeah.
evaluating them, or even trying to achieve something with them. I
Mm.
did not go in with the feeling of like, I really want to understand how this human became the way they are. How
Right.
why they're acting in this way. I want to understand that and why they're saying the things that they do. That puts everybody at the human level, and it no longer makes you feel like, "Oh, I'm being nitpicky or I'm putting them on a pedestal." Like, we're just trying to understand.
Yeah. Okay, so if we're gonna grade this trend and approach on an A through an F, what would you give it?
Okay. In terms of catchiness of title and concept, I give it an A plus. It's very catchy. Even the news has picked it up, so you know that there's the news they're lacking things to report on.
Yeah.
But as an idea for to make humanity better, it's like an F minus in my eyes.
Oh
Julie?
my god. Yeah, I mean, again, the only redeeming part is probably not the real definition of it. Is this part of like, let me try to make it work, but that's not really what this is saying. So I'd go with an F with you. I'm on the
Yeah.
fail
Yeah.
hard.
Very
It just
yeah.
it just it doesn't I don't know. I think all of these things, like, we talk about how, you know, people ghost and they have no humanity anymore, and it's just, like, treating people so disposable and,
Mhm.
like, it feels it's cowardly. I think that's the one word that comes to mind for me, and cruel. It is cruel to lead someone on for a long period of time when you have no intention of being with them because you are just too afraid to have a conversation and break up with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. You certainly don't wanna be on the receiving end of that, knowing that you're being
No.
judged every day to see how annoying you are.
Right. I also feel like with anything, it's like, look, do you want a band-aid and just like rip it off and it's gonna hurt, but it's going to
Mhm.
be over quickly? Or do you want this like long, drawn
Ugh.
out IV process or something that just takes like years and years? And it's like, look, time is our most valuable asset, even if it's really, really freaking painful. I'd rather something happen and be able to recover from it and get my time back, because then you can have the right relationship or free someone up to have one that works for them.
Yeah. I'm sure there's research to support this. I will do some research myself, but I bet you the longer a divorce takes, the more the hatred grows.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Just like rip the band-aid off at that point.
Just get it over with.
It's like,
Just
how do you make
end
this
it.
as smooth as possible and just move on? Both
Yeah.
parties just move on.
Or don't get into it or don't get into it in the first place. If you
Yeah,
know that that's the ultimate ending, just don't start.
right. Don't date someone with the mentality that you're gonna keep dating them till you hate them. Just don't do it. Don't get your dating advice from TikTok.
Oh,
And I'm not
yeah.
look, I'm saying that as people that have, in my opinion, we have done our 10,000 hours and we have looked at a lot of research and talked to a lot of really credible people and done our own work and wrote a book about this topic. So I do believe we're credible. I'm not saying it just for that though. Even if you choose never to listen to our podcast or other podcasts out there, or, you know, therapist work or people that know what they're talking about, just don't go to TikTok for your dating advice. Like,
Please.
do
Please.
nothing over go to TikTok for your dating
Please.
advice.
Oh,
It's the
100%.
blind leading the blind. It
It
really is.
truly is. Yeah. Don't go to TikTok for anything, any sort of
Other than
advice.
entertainment, purely, it should be entertainment only.
Please. Beg you, Gen Z.
And it's kind of sad that like the news is getting their news from TikTok trends. It's kind of
Right.
sad to me,
Yeah.
but
I
also not
mean,
surprising.
no, because 'cause we're also doing the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
we're talking
Yeah.
about it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But we're gonna kibosh it. This is a trend that needs to die. We're actually just gonna kill it now instead of letting it drag on. So,
Yep,
I'm
we're done.
killing this
We're done
trend.
talking about it.
Bye.
Okay.
All
Awesome.
right.
Well, make sure if you want good dating advice to subscribe to Dateable. And our long form podcast drops every Tuesday. And then you can come back to hear these recorded on Sundays and then join us live on YouTube every Tuesday as well. So Tuesday is the main day. I didn't even think about it
Yay.
that way.
All
Okay. Awesome.
right.
And of course, pick up How to Be Dateable, our book full of, insight that's going to help you build relational skills and become a better human being in the process of dating to yourself
Yes.
and to others. So, if you're on the
Yes.
same page of data till I don't even want to say the name. I'm not
Nope.
going to even say the name of the trend.
Because it's
If you
already
don't
dead.
it's already done. It's already done. If you want to be a better dater, that's the place to go, not TikTok.
Go to howtobedateable.com, and we'll see you all back here next week.
Bye.